Did Michael Corinthos honestly believe he could just banish the woman who drugged his children's mother and go back to playing happy family without facing catastrophic consequences? How could a man who grew up in the epicenter of mob warfare and corporate espionage be so utterly, dangerously blind? We are talking about Michael Corinthos, a man who has survived the worst of the worst, yet he allowed a viper to sleep in his bed, eat at his table, and hold his children for an entire year. Did he really think Jacinda Bracken was just going to pack her bags, shed a few tears, and disappear into the night simply because he ordered her to? If you ask me, Michael's arrogance is about to cost him everything. He thinks he has neutralized the threat by kicking her out of Port Charles, but he has absolutely no idea that he has just triggered the final lethal phase of a master plan that has been years in the making. The sheer audacity of Michael thinking he is in control of this situation is laughable, and the fallout is going to shatter his mind. Let us take a step back and look at Jacinda Bracken. For the better part of a year, she has played the role of the beautiful, slightly mysterious, but ultimately harmless new woman in Michael's life. She did not arrive in Port Charles with a trail of bodies behind her. She did not immediately launch into a reign of terror. Instead, she played the long game. She integrated herself into a powerful legacy family with the precision of a seasoned predator. She smiled at the right people, she attended the right events, and she slowly wrapped Michael around her little finger. But recently, the mask began to slip. The incident with Willow's iced coffee was not just a red flag, it was a blaring, deafening siren. Jacinda drugged Willow, fully aware that Willow was about to drive her children to the arcade. That was not a crime of passion or a momentary lapse in judgment. That was a calculated, lethal strike. But why now? Why, after months of playing the perfect girlfriend, did Jacinda suddenly escalate to attempted murder? The answer, my friends, is terrifyingly simple. She lost her patience. This brings me to the core of my theory, and I need you all to brace yourselves because this changes everything we thought we knew. I do not believe Jacinda Bracken is just a jealous girlfriend who took things too far. In fact, I do not believe Jacinda Bracken exists at all. If you ask me, the woman who has been sharing Michael's life for the past year is none other than Nelle Benson. Yes, you heard me correctly. Nelle Benson, the ultimate nightmare of the Corinthos family, the woman who supposedly died in the woods years ago. We all know the golden rule of soap operas. If there is no body, or even if there is a body that hasn't been thoroughly investigated by authorities, that person is not dead. What if Nelle survived that fall? What if she dragged her broken body away, fueled by nothing but pure, unadulterated hatred for Michael, Carly, and Willow? She knew she could never return to Port Charles with her old face. She was a wanted woman, a pariah. So she did what any brilliant, psychotic mastermind would do. She completely reinvented herself. Through extensive plastic surgery and a completely fabricated background, Nelle transformed herself into Jacinda Bracken. Think about the sheer psychological torture of this hidden agenda. She walked right back into the lion's den. She looked Michael in the eyes every single day, kissed him, held him, and he had absolutely no idea he was embracing the devil herself. Nelle has always been a master of manipulation, but this is her absolute masterpiece. For a year, she patiently waited, embedding herself into the Corinthos and Quartermain empires, waiting for the perfect moment to strike and reclaim what she believes is rightfully hers. But Nelle has never been known for her infinite patience. Watching Michael continue to interact with Willow, watching her twin sister live the life that Nelle felt she deserved, it finally pushed her over the edge. The coffee drugging was a desperate, impulsive move by a woman who could no longer stomach the sight of her sister's happiness. When Michael discovered the truth about the drugged coffee, his reaction was swift and furious. He was disgusted, and he forced Jacinda to leave Port Charles immediately. Michael probably patted himself on the back, thinking he had protected his family and eliminated the threat. But this is where the first domino falls, and it is going to set off a chain reaction of absolute devastation. Nelle, operating under the guise of Jacinda, did not just run away with her tail between her legs. She knew she was caught, but she also knew she held the ultimate trump card. Before slipping out of town, before the police could even begin to piece together her true identity, I believe she left something behind for Michael. A letter, a simple, unassuming envelope left on his desk at the Aurora offices or the Quartermain mansion. And inside that envelope is a confession that will completely shatter Michael's reality. Picture this scene: Michael, feeling exhausted but relieved that the Jacinda nightmare is over, opens this letter. He expects a pathetic apology, maybe some delusional justification for why she drugged Willow. Instead, he starts reading words that send an icy chill down his spine. The handwriting, the tone, the specific phrases used, It all starts to feel sickeningly familiar. And then the ultimate manipulative scheme is laid bare. Jacinda confesses that she is not Jacinda at all. She details exactly how she survived, how she changed her face, and how she orchestrated every single moment of their relationship over the past year. She tells him that every time he whispered he loved her, he was saying it to Nelle. Every time he confided his fears to her, he was giving ammunition to Nelle. Michael will realize that he has been sleeping with his worst enemy, the woman who tortured his family, the woman who tried to destroy his mother. The psychological break Michael will suffer in that moment will be catastrophic, but Nelle is not finished. The true horror of this letter, the second domino in this vicious cycle, is the final paragraph. Nelle reveals why she did not fight harder to stay, why she accepted her banishment so easily. She reveals that she is pregnant. She has been carrying Michael's child for weeks. This changes the entire landscape of the war. Nelle did not leave because Michael forced her to. She left because she needed to protect her unborn child, her ultimate leverage, from the chaos of Port Charles. She retreated to a safe haven to incubate the perfect weapon against the Corinthos family. By revealing the pregnancy in a letter after she is already gone, she traps Michael in a state of paralyzing helplessness. He cannot track her down, he cannot force her to take a paternity test, and he certainly cannot protect this unborn child. He is entirely at her absolute mercy. This revelation will absolutely destroy Michael. He is a man who prides himself on protecting his children, on being the steadfast patriarch. Now, he has to live with the agonizing knowledge that Nelle Benson, a proven sociopath, is out there somewhere, carrying his flesh and blood. How does he even begin to process this? He cannot go to the police and say that his ex-girlfriend Jacinda is actually his dead ex-wife Nelle, and she is pregnant. They would think he has lost his mind. He is completely isolated with this horrifying truth. This is the genius of Nelle's plan. She has created a scenario where Michael is emotionally and psychologically paralyzed. He will spend every waking moment looking over his shoulder, wondering when she will return, wondering if his child is safe, wondering what twisted plans she is whispering to the baby in her womb. And what happens when the third domino strikes Willow? Oh, guys, if you ask me, Willow's reaction is going to be the most tragic part of this entire ordeal. Willow is already reeling from the fact that Jacinda tried to drug her, nearly causing a fatal car accident with her children. But when Michael eventually breaks down and confesses the truth, that Jacinda was actually Nelle, Willow's fragile world will completely implode. Her twin sister, the sister she thought was dead, the sister who represents all the darkness Willow tries to escape, has been living right next to her. Nelle wore a different face, infiltrated her family, and actively tried to murder her again. The sheer terror of knowing that Nelle was close enough to touch her children, close enough to slip drugs into her drink, will push Willow to the brink of a nervous breakdown. The trauma will be absolutely insurmountable. Willow will also have to grapple with the sickening reality that Nelle is pregnant with Michael's child. This means Nelle is permanently tied to their family once again. There is no escaping her. Willow has spent years trying to build a safe, loving environment, playing the saintly mother figure. But how can she maintain that facade when she knows a literal monster is incubating a child that will share blood with her own kid? The paranoia will consume Willow. Every time the doorbell rings, every time a stranger walks past her in the park, she will wonder if it is Nelle with yet another new face. This hidden agenda will destroy the peace Willow has fought so hard to maintain, driving a massive wedge between her and Michael, because she will inevitably blame him for being so incredibly blind to the truth. Then we have the fourth domino, Carly Spencer. We all know Carly's history with Nelle. It is a blood feud of epic proportions. When Carly finds out that Michael allowed Nelle back into his bed for a year, she is going to absolutely lose her mind. Carly will view this as the ultimate betrayal, not just by Nelle, but by Michael's own incompetence. Carly will tear Port Charles apart trying to find Nelle, utilizing every resource Sunny and Jason have at their disposal. But Nelle is smart. She knows how to hide. Carly's frantic, desperate search will only lead to dead ends, driving Carly further into a state of manic obsession. The Legacy family will begin to fracture from the inside out, consumed by the ghost of a woman who isn't even in the city anymore. Nelle doesn't even have to be present to destroy the Corinthos family. Her shadow is doing all the work for her. Furthermore, we have to consider what Nelle is doing while she is in hiding. She is not just sitting in a cabin knitting baby booties. She is plotting her grand return, and knowing Nelle, she will likely seek out an unholy alliance to ensure her victory when she finally marches back into Port Charles. Perhaps she will reach out to other enemies of the Corinthos family. Maybe she will find a way to manipulate the WSB, or perhaps she will align herself with someone powerful, offering crucial inside information about Sunny and Michael in exchange for protection and resources. Nelle is a survivor, and she knows that to take down a legacy family, she needs an army. By the time she gives birth, she will have amassed enough power and leverage to make her return absolutely unstoppable. When the time is right, Nelle will return. But she will not sneak back into town under the cover of darkness. She will not wear the Jacinda disguise anymore. She will walk right through the front doors of the Quartermain mansion, holding a newborn baby, and she will introduce herself as Nelle Benson. The absolute shockwave this will send through the town will be legendary. She will have the ultimate shield, Michael's child. Michael will be forced to choose between protecting Willow and his current children, or turning his back on his newborn baby. Nelle knows that Michael's Achilles heel is his morality when it comes to his children. He will never abandon his own flesh and blood, which means he will be forced to let Nelle back into his life, back into his home, and back into his orbit. It is the ultimate checkmate. This is the vicious cycle that Michael has unwittingly trapped himself in. He thought he was banishing a mildly unhinged girlfriend, but he actually gave his greatest enemy exactly what she needed: time, space, and the ultimate leverage. Nelle Benson is out there right now, holding the future of the Corinthos family in her womb. She has orchestrated a manipulative scheme so brilliant, so flawlessly executed, that no one even saw it coming until it was far too late. The destruction of Michael Corinthos is not a possibility. It is an impending certainty. He has been outplayed by a master. So, the only question left to ask as we watch this legacy family march blindly toward their own doom is this: when Nelle finally returns to claim her throne with Michael's child in her arms, who will be the first casualty in the bloodbath that follows?